أنا دكتور خالد وليد، ربان سفينة النجاة إلى شواطئ بكة القدس. I am Dr. Khaled Waleed, the captain of the ship of salvation to the shores of Baka, Jerusalem.
Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. You know how this works. We take a fascinating idea, break it down, and really try to understand it. So get ready, because today we're going deep into this piece called Human and the Illusion of Sight.
Intriguing title, right?
Totally. It got me hooked right away. So we'll be exploring how we see the universe, and more importantly, what we don't see. It gets pretty philosophical, even spiritual, about our place in it all.
It does. It kind of challenges our everyday idea of sight.
Yeah, and the core idea here, the one we'll be unpacking, is that our vision might be way more limited than we think. And that has some pretty big implications for how we understand, well, everything.
Absolutely. Like right off the bat, the source just throws it out there.
Yeah.
Humans, we do not see.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, hold on a second. What do you mean? Makes you stop and think.
I know, right? And it's not just some random statement. The source backs it up by bringing in these verses from the Quran, from Surah Al-Mulk.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the chapters in the Quran, for anyone who might not be familiar.
Right. And these verses, they talk about the creation of the universe, the idea that life and death are like a test. They suggest that even when we look at everything around us, even when we think we're seeing it all, we might not truly be grasping it.
It's like we're being challenged to look closer, to look deeper. And even then, the source says, our sight will come back humble and worn out. There's this sense that we just can't fully comprehend it all.
Exactly. It really sets the stage for this idea that there's a fundamental limit to what we can grasp, to what we can truly see.
For sure. The source uses those opening verses to kind of lay the groundwork for this whole argument.
Yeah.
It suggests there's this incredible divine power at play, this creation that's just so vast and complex that we, with our limited human senses, can't fully take it all in.
It's like our tiny human perspective trying to wrap itself around something truly infinite, truly boundless.
Totally. And then the piece moves on to another verse from Surah Qaf, which says, your sight today is sharp.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the way the source interprets this is really interesting. It connects it to our purpose in life, to some kind of future understanding.
It does. Almost like our current vision, this sharp sight is just the beginning, a starting point. But depending on our actions, the good we do in this life, our perception, our sight, could become even clearer, even deeper in the future.
Yeah, it's like our current vision is just one step on this journey towards greater understanding.
It is. And this leads the source to this pretty bold statement. We are born prisoners of limited sight, existing in what it calls the lowest cosmic level. I mean, wow, talk about a powerful image.
Yeah, prisoners of limited sight. It really drives home this idea that we are fundamentally restricted. Like, we're down here in the basement of this vast cosmic hierarchy of perception.
Right. We're just starting out. It's like the source is saying that this limited vision is not the end game, this lowest cosmic level. It's just the beginning of something much grander.
It is. It frames our limitations not as some kind of failing, but as a starting point, a chance to grow and expand our ability to understand and perceive the universe.
To break free from that prison, so to speak. And then the source brings in more verses from the Quran, this time from Surah Al-Haqqa.
Right. These verses really highlight the contrast between what we can see and what's hidden from us, what remains unseen. And they connect this idea to the words of, like, a noble messenger.
So what's the connection there? What's the source trying to say?
I think it's about emphasizing that there's this whole other reality out there beyond what our senses can pick up. This unseen world, it's not just some made-up thing. It's a fundamental truth affirmed by divine revelation.
It really builds on that initial idea about our limited perception, right? Like there's so much more than what we see every day.
Absolutely. And then the source takes it even further. It connects this concept of the unseen to modern science.
Oh, that's right. It talks about the huge difference between the visible universe and what it calls the awaited unseen universe.
Yeah.
It uses that to show just how limited we are in understanding the sheer scale, the ubashadis, that's Arabic for grandeur, by the way, of the universe.
It's such a clever connection.
Yeah.
You know, modern science talks about things like dark matter, dark energy stuff that makes up most of the universe, but that we can't even see. It's a perfect parallel to this Quranic idea of the unseen.
It really reinforces the point that what we see every day is just a tiny, tiny fraction of reality, like a glimpse through a keyhole.
Exactly. And speaking of glimpses, the source then brings up the story of Moses, or Musa, asking to see God.
Oh yeah, from Surah Al-Araf. That story always blows my mind. The mountain literally crumbles and Moses faints. I mean, talk about a powerful example of how we can't even begin to comprehend divine greatness through our sight.
I know, right? It shows the immense gap between our human senses and the magnitude of the divine. And Moses, a prophet, even he couldn't handle it.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it?
It is. It's like this powerful analogy for our inability to grasp the grandeur of the divine, and by extension, the vastness and complexity of everything that exists.
And then we get to the numbers. The source gives us this incredibly small percentage, 10 to the power of minus 41. That's the portion of the known universe we can actually see with the naked eye.
I know. Try wrapping your head around that. The source breaks it down, saying it's a decimal point, followed by 40 zeros before you even get to the number 1.
Ugh, my brain hurts just thinking about it. But that's not even all of it. The source compares it to Planck time, the smallest unit of time we know of.
And even then, it's still billions of times smaller than that. I mean, come on. Then it compares that tiny fraction to the total number of atoms in the universe. Practically zero, basically.
Yeah, it's like winning the lottery a million times in a row while simultaneously getting struck by lightning. It just ain't happening. But the analogies the source uses are really what make it hit home. Like, the whole universe is a grain of sand, and what we can see is this invisible speck on that grain, even with the most powerful microscope.
Right. And then the source says it's like the chances of some totally random event happening with odds that small are basically zero. It makes you realize how limited our experience really is.
For sure. It's a good reminder that we don't know everything. Not even close. Then the source moves on to what the universe is actually made of. You know, the 68% dark energy, 27% dark matter, and that tiny 5% of ordinary matter.
And even then, what we see is only a fraction of that 5%. Mind-blowing.
It really is. So, based on the source, what can we actually see with our naked eyes?
Well, just a few stars in the night sky, the planets close to us, and that faint Milky Way band. Everything else, like distant galaxies, nebulae, black holes, even the dust and gas between stars, it's all invisible to us without some serious equipment.
It really shrinks our perspective, doesn't it? It makes you feel kind of small.
It does. The source emphasizes our seemingly insignificant place in this vast universe, highlighting how much exists beyond our senses. It's definitely a call for humility.
It is. And this brings the source to its big conclusion. We only see what God wills us to see. There's a real sense of divine purpose in shaping our perception here.
Definitely. It's not just some random quirk of evolution. It's intentional. What we see is part of a larger plan. It adds a whole other layer to the discussion, going beyond science and biology.
It does. But the source doesn't present this limitation as a bad thing. It calls it a reminder to reflect, not to encompass. There's a purpose behind our limited sight, right?
Totally. It's not about being able to see everything. It's about recognizing our limitations and using them to explore and understand, to think deeply, to be humble, and to appreciate the grandeur of the Creator through our limited view.
It's about the journey, not the destination. And the source even throws in a quote to drive this point home. And above every possessor of knowledge is one more knowing. It's like, no matter how much you learn, there's always more to discover.
Right. There's always another level. Our limited vision is just one part of this ongoing process of seeking knowledge.
It is. And towards the end, the source brings in another verse from Surah Al-Isra. It talks about the night journey, specifically highlighting the phrase, to show him of our signs. How does the source tie that to this idea of vision?
I think it points towards a different kind of yay, that's Arabic for vision, something beyond our physical sight. This night journey, it was a miraculous experience for the prophet, allowing him to see divine signs that are usually hidden from us. It suggests there are other ways of knowing and perceiving that go beyond our everyday senses.
It's like there's a whole other level of perception that we haven't even tapped into.
Exactly. And that leads to this really interesting concept the source describes. The inevitable vision of the purified soul with an expanded chest beyond the limits of sight restricted by the earthly prison in this worldly life.
Okay, break that down for me. That's a lot to unpack.
Basically, it's describing a future state of being, one that transcends our current limitations. This inevitable vision, it's like a liberation from our earthly perception, a state of expanded awareness that goes beyond our physical senses.
And you achieve this through spiritual growth, purification, opening your heart and mind.
Right. It's not about physical sight. It's about a deeper understanding of reality.
I see. Then the source mentions some specific locations, Medina, Mecca, Jerusalem. It connects them to divine knowledge and the Isra, the night journey of the prophets. Why highlight those places?
I think it's suggesting that these places are centers of divine revelation, spiritually significant places associated with gaining deep insights and experiencing that elevated kind of niye, that higher vision.
So it's like these locations are connected to this path of spiritual growth and understanding.
Exactly. They hold a special significance in this context.
Makes sense. And finally, the source ends with a challenge, referencing the story of Abraham and the idols. It basically says that these ideas about our limited sight and the greater unseen reality are undeniable.
It's a bold statement, for sure. Like the source is saying, look, this is the truth. You can't refute it.
So to wrap this all up for you, our listener, the key takeaway from Human and the Illusion of Sight is this. Our everyday vision is just a tiny sliver of reality. There's a vast universe out there, most of which we can't even perceive.
Right. But it's not meant to be discouraging. It's about recognizing that there's so much more than what we see, and maybe there's a wisdom behind that.
It's about going beyond just seeing to truly understanding. And on that note, here's a final thought. If our perception is as limited as the source suggests, what else are we missing? What aspects of reality, maybe beyond the physical world, are hidden from us?
That's a great question. And how can we even begin to explore those limitations? It's a challenge to think about for sure.
It is. It makes you question everything, doesn't it?
Definitely. It's a whole new way of looking at the world and our place in it.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Hopefully it's given you something to think about, maybe even a new perspective on the universe.
Thanks for having me. Until next time.
See you then.
أنا دكتور خالد وليد ربان سفينة النجاة إلى شواطئ بكة القدس. I am Dr. Khaled Waleed, the captain of the ship of salvation to the shores of Baka, Jerusalem.